Good afternoon, everyone. It's the winter break, something I hate because I know Kenny there loves it. He thinks it's great. I think it's, I don't another break. I think we've got one coming up in March sometime with the internationals. I'm not sure. We don't need it. And to be honest with you, I don't want to go a weekend without footy. It's boring. Anyway, but while we think about it, I'm going to start the subject, which we can all talk about while there's no football going on about, and it's Stan Kroenke. Anyway, let me welcome my guest first. Kenny, how are you, Kenny?
I'm happy. I'm enjoying the winter break, unlike yourself. You got to enjoy what you've been calling for the last 3 or 4 years, and I am a massive advocate about it. The only criticism I have about the winter break is that it's at the wrong time. I think it should be during the December period.
Oh, no, not Christmas. Not when you want to get out of the house on Boxing Day. No, Kenny, no, please don't say that. Don't say that. Right. I'm old school, I'm tradition, you know.
I hear you. I respect that.
Listen, I'm gonna start with the Stan Kroenke because it's causing a lot of chat around social media at the moment. There was a very good show with Scott, same old Arsenal yesterday, and they had a couple of fantastic guests, as well as they had also Kevin Campbell on and Lee Judges. But I was fascinated, and I brought out my own little table. I brought my table on. I was looking through the things, and this is the table of net spend in the Premier League in the last 5 years, Kenny. Top, as we all know, is Manchester City. Right. We're currently in second place at the moment and way off the lead. Guess who was second? I wonder if you wonder who was second. Who do you think is second, Kenny?
I wouldn't be surprised if it's us or Liverpool.
No. Listen to this. It's Manchester United. With a net spend over the last 5 years of £441 million.
Wouldn't surprise me because they got the money.
Second. Guess who's third?
Arsenal.
This club. Guess who's third? The club that doesn't spend any money, doesn't invest. Arsenal. 267 million. And listen, I wonder where you think Liverpool are in this table.
They're probably. I'll tell you one thing. I wouldn't be surprised if they're behind Everton.
Well, I'll tell you where they are. 14th.
Yeah.
Their net spend is 106 million over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And then we go down to, guess who's in 10th? Right? Leicester City.
Spurs.
No, Leicester City are in 10th. Right?
Oh, you mean that Leicester? You mean that Leicester? You mean that Leicester City that won the league championship 4 years ago, and that is in the process of getting to the top four? Is that Leicester City?
Yes, that's Leicester City. 129 million over 5 years. And guess what? This is another stat I'm going to put at you. This current season, they're spending net spend is 17.9 million. Yeah. Currently in the top three, yes?
Yes.
Right. Going to Arsenal, 91.89 million is our current spending. Now,
about 8 times more than Leicester.
This season.
Who'd have thought it, eh?
Right.
Who'd have thought it, Claude?
Now, what I want to know is all these people are going on about it's not been investment. There's no investment. The money's been given. And the thing is, as I said, we had a group in our group chat earlier. I said, it's not how much money you spend, it's how you spend it. And what we spend it on. Because if I'm looking at that table, Leicester have in the last 5 years have gone down and come back up, where we've steadily gone down. And and looking at the net spend, it's an incredible difference. And look at Liverpool, top of the league. They're now currently 14th in this table, top of the league, running away with it. 20 odd. How many points are they in front now? 20, 18 points.
They're 22 points ahead of Leicester and Manchester City.
Right, exactly. So what, Kenny? How do you work this one out, Kenny? You tell me. What's your thoughts on it?
Well, Claude, myself, Lee Gunner, and you have been trying to say this since last May. In fact, even or actually last year, about the fact that Arsenal are one of the biggest spenders in transfer fees and salaries. But no one wants to hear that because the narrative, or may I say, the truth, gets in the way of a good story or gets in the way of a good protest. A lot of people in our fan base are making their name of being part of the narrative which is saying Kroenke out. Kroenke doesn't spend. Kroenke doesn't care. Kroenke doesn't come to enough games. Kroenke's more interested in the LA Rams. He's just trying to make money out of the football club. That's the narrative, and that's the narrative that sells, Claude. And unfortunately, that people who are coming out with these comments are being listened to rather than listening to the truth, because the truth is actually boring. The truth will actually hit home and actually hurt a lot of fans, i.e. the team is not good enough. You're not allowed to say the team's not good enough anymore. You're not allowed to say that Arteta is going to have his work cut out if he's going to keep these players. You're not even allowed to say, well, we've only won one game out of 8, 7 in the league. You're not allowed to say it because the truth is boring. You want to say things like, well, Arteta's doing a fantastic job. And most importantly, you want to criticise the Kroenke. The fact is, we have spent loads of money. We have broken our transfer records on Mesut Ozil, Alexander Lacazette, and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Now, that is during the Kroenke's reign. In 2 seasons, in one calendar year, or even say 6 months, I stand to be corrected, we broke our transfer record with Lacazette, and in a few months later, in the January transfer, we broke our transfer record with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. We are paying Mesut Ozil £350,000 a week, the highest paid player outside Alexis Sanchez and Paul Pogba, which means they are getting more money than any player at Man City. Well, he's getting more money than any player at Man City, and he's also getting more money than the highest paid player at Liverpool, who are the Champions League holders, the World Club champions, and also the team that is going to win the league at a canter. We talk about Leicester City, which won the league. Again, your figures do not surprise me. But the common denominator out of all of this is that you can spend as much money as you want. But just because you're spending a lot of money doesn't mean you're buying quality. Now, I'm not saying Aubameyang ain't quality, but let's talk about Granit Xhaka. Has Granit Xhaka been a qualified success for you, Claude? Has Shkodran Mustafi been a qualified success?
No,
Has Elneny been a qualified success? You look at the team overall. We've spent loads of money. Remember, we met Celtic's valuation against our best widgets for Kieran Tierney, who I think is going to be a fantastic player, but we haven't met their valuation. We have broke our transfer record only just recently with Nicola Pepe, when it was even where Arsenal were being forced or bullying to breaking their transfer record of Wilfried Zaha. Now, people don't want to hear that because it's against the narrative. People do not want to hear the fact that a good friend of ours brought up a point which I've always known about because I do a bit of economics called amortization. Does anyone in the live chat or heard of the word amortization? Because I'll tell you what amortization means. It means staggering over payments to repay a debt. Now, the biggest debt we have at the football club is the stadium loan, the mortgage for over 30 years. Now, what Tim Payton said yesterday on the Same Old Arsenal is what me and Lee Gunner has been saying, shouting from the rooftops on a regular basis. You've been saying it as well, and I've been saying it as well, that we are paying off the stadium debt. Yesterday, some excellent points were brought up about how much, like I said, net spend and profit the club are making. Again, people don't want to hear that because it's boring. We've had our Wenger out protest, which I was very much part of and agreed with, but the team's not winning, so it has to be someone's support. It can't be the fact that we've got bad players, or dare say it, coaches who can't get the best out of these bad players or can only take them to a certain heights. It's boring for people to know the truth. So when you tell the truth, you get bullied, you get shouted at, you get told to F off to Tottenham Hotspur. So when someone like League Judges says he is jealous of Tottenham Hotspur because they're a well-run club, he's not saying it's because he prefers Tottenham. He's saying that the money they spent it wisely. But no one wants to listen to that because the truth hurts. No one wants to listen to you when you make your comments about, let's look at the team, because it's boring. The truth always has this inconvenient habit of getting away with a good story. And the greatest story amongst Arsenal fans is Kroenke out.
Can you explain, Kenny, because you'll probably put it better across than me, can you explain to these people when they keep going on about, well, he hasn't put his money in, he hasn't put his own money in? Can you explain it to them? Because maybe if you can explain it better than I am. Why?
No, Claude. We can shout to rooftops. The fact of the matter is that if anyone knows the history of the football club, and I'm very surprised that people who have the history of Arsenal at their fingertips are even talking about, moaning about the way the club's run. The fact of the matter is that you know it and I know it. The Arsenal have always been prided themselves of being a Bank of England club, to the extent that we never spent or overspent money on players we can't afford. We've always been with their means. Don Howe complained about having no money. So did Terry Neal when we had Dennis Hillwood and its successor, his son Peter, at the helm. One of the things that George Graham complained about was having no money to spend. But they worked within that framework. Arsene Wenger worked within that framework as well. He even was happy to do that because he was very critical of Chelsea's, the way Chelsea had the... What did he say? There's one market for us, the rest, and there's one market for Chelsea. So everyone was acceptable of that. And then what's happened is that teams like Chelsea became successful, Man City became successful, even though Man United haven't been successful. Then it became a problem. And then it was Kroenke don't spend. And why should Kroenke spend? One of the reasons why...
Having said all that, you don't have to spend. I mean, Leicester proved it. Liverpool now are proving it big time, aren't they? They could go on to a record-breaking season without spend. I mean, with a net spend of what they've actually brought in. You know what I'm saying?
And guess what they did? And what they did is that they sold a player who was unhappy and wanted to go to Barcelona for the 2 moons plus a half moon, and they went and replaced him. They didn't replace him properly because they still lack a bit of creativity, even though they're fresh in team. They went and got the best goalkeeper in the world, and they got one of the best centre halves in the world. And you've got a reason that when Klopp went there, he had players like Ben Teke, who didn't work out, that he shipped out in order to get the money in, and then free up his wages, which is what he's done in the last 4 or 5 years. The team that Klopp inherited from Brendan Rodgers 4.5 years ago is completely different to the team he has now. And it's the same, you're talking about Leicester. From when Ranieri, they had Ranieri, Shakespeare, Puel, and now they've got Brendan Rodgers. It's called involvement. Now, what Arsenal haven't done in the last 4 years is that they haven't evolved. They've kept these poor players, and in some cases, they made them leaders of the game and the 5 captains. That can't be Kroenke's fault.
Yeah, but you know what I see with Leicester, they've completely. I didn't realise how many players they've lost, and they've only got 2 of the Champions winning team, and they've completely changed it, haven't they? And yet they're in a better position than us.
Yeah, but look, but what's the common denominator? The common denominator is that teams who don't evolve do not progress up the table, are not in contention of winning trophies or getting in the top 4. Arsenal haven't evolved for years, and they certainly haven't evolved since for the last 5 years. Hence the fact we are where we should be. If we keep the same players and keep the same team, and we're still building a team around someone like Mesut Ozil, who arguably has been in decline since that season he had in 2015, 2016, then you're where you deserve to be. If Granit Xhaka, hasn't been the player you thought he was going to be, and then you lose someone like Santiago Cazorla, and you don't replace him, then you are where you should be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's about getting the right place. Sometimes, you can overpay for players, and you can sometimes get real bargains if you really. And this is where I think we've failed in the last few years. Is our scouting has been poor. Our scouting has been poor. I don't know what these people are, where they're getting some of these players from. But we're not scouting the right areas. If you look at like Leicester have picked up players like Ndidi, and you look at it, and players like that, and doing really well at the moment. And let's be honest about it. What's their ground capacity at the moment at Leicester?
32,000.
Was it 30,000?
It's about
Exactly.
30. Yeah, but it doesn't. Yeah, but if you do things properly in this league, you've got to realise, right, there isn't much of a gap between, the teams outside Liverpool and Man City. Like if you look at, the conversation me, you, and Tony had when we did the Arsenal Chelsea preview for the recent derby. There, you look at the teams, like going from Norwich upwards. You can't say that Norwich have been completely poor in every game they played. They've been a bit unlucky. No. They've got a goal scorer in Pookie, and they've got some really good new midfielders. They've got 2 good left backs. But again, it's that they're not staying in games long enough. But you look at Wolves. Wolves don't spend what we spend, but they've got a fantastic team. They're RS and stable. Sheffield United had players who've been playing in League One. So there isn't a gap in quality between teams outside from Norwich up to maybe Man City, and that's why the Premiership is more competitive, and that's why you have to stand out and you have to get some quality in, because if you bite your pride and look at the other teams around the Premiership. Look at the gems around us in the Premiership. There's some fantastic teams. There's going to be players who are going to play in relegated teams who are going to be available. Why aren't Arsenal involved with them? They've got Premiership experience.
There, Kenny, you're right, because second half at Burnley, we didn't touch on the game at Burnley last week, but second half at Burnley, I thought they were the better side, and you know what I mean, and we were quite in the end. I thought we were lucky to get away with a point.
Yeah, but you know what? You know why Burnley were the better side? It's because simple reasons that we're easy to work out. Everyone talks about how Arteta's this clever manager. That Mesut Ozil's playing behind the line, within the lines, playing in midfield, and we can't mark him. And then he gets all this space. He looks up, and he puts great passes through to the fullbacks, blah blah. Very good, but an opposition manager is going to spot that in every game we've played, in the second half, or even in the last 15 minutes of a game. An opposition manager spotted that, and they cut off the supply, which has rendered Mesut Ozil ineffective. Yeah. Sheffield United at home happened where they rendered him ineffective. Chelsea in the second half, Lampard spotted that. He rendered him ineffective because and then Burnley themselves did it a bit quicker than that. So all this praise about Mesut Ozil, I still believe that Mesut Ozil's best position is where he played under Arsene Wenger and Emery, around the front three or just around them. Putting him in midfield is excellent, but you can work that out. Anyone with a brain can work it out, and that's where we are not winning games, is because Plan A, we seem to only have Plan A. There doesn't seem to be a Plan B in terms of midfield with Arteta.
Darren Sullivan says the board are a disgrace, keeping people like Mustafi, Xhaka, Kolasinac, Ozil in on wages that will never be good enough. You wouldn't leave your rotten apples on the shelf for 6 months. Kenny, what do you think? I think the boardroom, forget about Stan, but the actual boardroom itself is full of people that are old, wouldn't you say, in their 80s? Is that a problem, do you think, Kenny?
Well, first moment, I want to say, Darren, great question, mate. How are you, mate? You good? first thing is Darren's got an excellent point, is that he's talking about the board. He isn't mentioning Kroenke, he's talking about the board. And we've got to look at the board level. Now, there seems to be a division between the old school and people like Vinay and Raoul. And what we're having is that people like the Harrises of the world and Ken Friars want their man Dave O'Leary on the board because he's a football man. He's managed at the highest level with Leeds, took him into Europe. So he does know the game. But people like the Raoul's want the sort of route to Josh Kroenke to themselves. But the fact of the matter is that there wouldn't be that situation if they were doing a good job. You've got to remember what time is that Raoul and the Vinay's of the world forced that Michelin that, who was meant to be a scout. Now, the reason why I'm using that, and Ryan's point is very good, because he's mentioned with Staffy, Kolasinac, Ozil and wages, they'll never be good enough. Now, one of the things that Michelin mentioned to me after we lost to City in the cup final was the fact that he was looking for a box-to-box midfielder. Now, he mentioned that to me in February 2018. Now, 2 years down the line, we haven't got that player. 2 years down the line, we have a situation where only now Arteta is saying he needs a box-to-box midfielder. He needs, certain things. Well, hang on here. What guys been doing? They've been patting themselves on the back about, oh yeah, we've got Pepe with blah blah. But hang on here. What about the players that you should be shipping out? I mean, it's not rocket science. The players that you don't need, and if you want the squad to survive, get the wages off the thing. It shouldn't be that difficult to tell a player that his services is no longer required and that he will not be chosen for selection. What's the point of Unai Emery going up to the board and saying he wants rid of Mesut Ozil, and then the board's backing Mesut Ozil, and then all of a sudden they're suggesting they're turning a blind eye to the fact that Mesut Ozil's not being selected, i.e. trying to force him out. He's dug his heels in, saying he's going to stay, and then Unai Emery loses his job. I mean, let's face it now. Let's be truthful. And Darren, this is a question I'm going to ask you. Or it's not a question, it's a point, but you're probably not going to question it. There's no doubt in his mind, and this is factual. Mesut Ozil has seen off 2 managers already since he signed his contract. There's no doubt in my mind that as soon as he signed his contract, he wasn't helpful towards Arsene Wenger's calls towards the end, and that probably helped push him out the door. I don't think anyone's going to argue that he was one of the main protagonists in forcing Unai Emery out of a job. And now you've got a situation now where the third man, a new man, has come in, and I suppose he's mean well. He's given the naughty boy sweets, even the bad eggs sweets, and he's been a good boy sweets. But again, it doesn't help matters when he's thinking, oh, let me build a side around Mesut Ozil. If he's gonna build a side around that man, then he can forget it, because that is going to cost him his job. Because all it's saying is that Mesut Ozil is bigger than the club, and he isn't bigger than the club. And that goes for the other players you mentioned, like Mustafi. So talking about Mustafi's got himself into a good bit of form, and he's playing well. But long term, is Mustafi the answer? I don't think so. If you're really, really serious, you need an upgrade in these players. The same with Granit as well. You need upgrades in all these players. Kolasinac is not good enough to play for Arsenal. Yes, he shows great tenacity when he plays, but he's a wing back. We need a left back. We've got Kieran Tierney. He's probably going to be a good number 2. But personally, I would like him to be sold so we can facilitate his wages and use it on building team around. So Darren's point is excellent.
Jake, I'm going to address this as a Liverpool fan looking at Arsenal. See you as an embarrassment. Arsenal aren't a big club anymore. Claude said it a few years ago in an interview. Proves again. Yeah, listen, Jake. What I did say, I always think. I think we are a big club. I said what I did say is that we're not acting like a big club a few years ago, and I still think at the moment there are times when I think we're not acting as a big club. But I don't believe. And Kenny, I think, really don't believe it's solely down to Stan Kroenke. I think there are a lot of other issues that need to be sorted out. at the end of the day, if my mother gave me £20 to go out to the shop to get my lunch money when I was about 14, and then I spent it on things that weren't appropriate, it's not my mum's fault. It's my own fault. Wouldn't you say that, Kenny?
100%. And you know, Jake. The reason why I take Jake seriously very much, because he's, in terms of being Liverpool, he's seen it with Liverpool. He's seen a situation where Liverpool, after Kenny Dalglish left in '91, they wouldn't accept and they wouldn't move with the times. You know, they still wanted that old Boardroom thing. Managers like Souness tried to move it on, and there was opposition. There was always opposition. So it's only recently that Liverpool getting or under Rafa firstly, and obviously now Klopp's taken off, where they've started to become a serious club. So what he said, I take with great stock, because we're in the same situation now. A lot of people at Arsenal generally believe that we're a top club. When we play teams, we've got to beat them because we're Arsenal. It doesn't occur to these guys that these teams are well organised, have better players than us, and have a better mentality. It doesn't matter. We're the Arsenal. We play at Anfield, where we play the European Cup winners, who are probably one of the best teams in the world. Don't worry. Don't play, like I said, pragmatic football. Just go out and attack them because we're the Arsenal. You know what I mean? It's a great delusion about that. Until we accept where we are at the moment, and that comes from the fan base, then we're never, ever, 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 ever going to go back where we should be. Because that's the thing. You have to educate your fan base, and then the mentality has to be around the players. And you have to accept that, yeah, you are going to buy bad players, but you still have to still try and get the best players. You know what I mean? And I genuinely believe, that Arsenal will only move forward if they accept their situation and accept they're not a top club. And then, rather than moan about it, do something about it and go with the right things. If Raul and Vinay are not working out, replace them with someone else who's not good. Replace them with someone else. If Arteta's not working, replace them with someone else. Because that goal has to be get back to the top. The player's not good enough. Get replacements in. There's players out there. There's coaches out there. There's chief executives out there. Get the best people in the jobs. Stan, that's all we want you to do. We know you're spending money.
Kenny,
we know you're employing people, but get the right people on.
Let's move on to that. There's one for you, Kenny. Abdi, this has been happening all weekend, talking about all weekend. Thoughts on Wenger wanting to return?
Well, hi, Abdi. How do you? All right, mate? One thing I would say, and I'll say this with the greatest irony towards Mr. Wenger. When Mr. Wenger was in charge of Arsenal, he was very, very reluctant for us to have a director of football. He was very reluctant to have all sorts of help. So it's quite ironic that there's talk about Arsene Wenger coming to the club in some capacity, i.e. an advisor or director of football, when he was very, very resistant of it in the first place. So that's an irony in its first place. Two, why would you want someone who's who everyone universally accepts, except for a few deluded acolytes of the man, accepts that he was part of the decline? You know what I mean? It's like picking up a germ and then picking up germs and then going and then basically curing yourself of the germs and then inviting more germs back into the club. And I'm not calling Arsene Wenger a germ. He's not a germ, but it's an analogy. Why get back the person who was resistant of having a director of football, and now you're inviting him in that capacity, allegedly, to be that person? Or why invite someone who was part of the decline to come and repair the decline that he caused in the first place? It means it's funny, it's hilarious.
We have to move on, mate. We've got to move on that because, to be honest with you, he's the past. He had a good few years when he did do it, and then he declined towards the end, and he went along with this. He went along with he made some bad signings. He made. I don't think tactically in Europe, I always thought in Europe, he never tactically got it right in European games for me. In fact, his record in Europe,
and Claude, and that is despite having an excellent team,
yeah.
despite having an excellent defence. In Europe, you need excellent defenders and an excellent team who could defend itself. And man managers, yet we're getting outwitted by teams like Fiorentina.
Yeah, not only that,
You know what I mean? And Metz, and Lons, we're getting Lons, yeah.
He had probably the best team in Europe at the time, in my opinion, and even Arrigo Sacchi said it, I think, himself. We had the best team in Europe, and we failed to win the Champions League, and that was 2004. And on that time,
he got outwitted when Chelsea put an extra man in midfield. I mean,
exactly.
Jesus Christ. Chelsea went to 1-1, knew full well that they needed an away goal. So what they did is they put an extra man in midfield, outnumbered us in midfield. I mean, anyone with half a brain would have noticed. Well, let's just we're the ones in the ascendancy. It's still, let's go and try and win the game. Oh, let's go and match Chelsea in midfield and just keep it a bit tight. Oh, what does he do? Allow Chelsea to have the extra man, and guess what? They scored the winner. I mean, that was the biggest tactical fail, and he was doing that in 2004 when we were on a great side.
Kenny, because I only think he knew only one way of playing.
Yeah.
And that was letting the players express themselves, and there was no tactical nous about him at all in them years. And
no,
luckily,
what's happening? Yeah, what's happening is that we were overconfident. The fans were overconfident. The managers were overconfident. The players were confident because we had the Indian sign over Chelsea. So we generally thought it'd be. When we played Chelsea like three times, we flattened them. Well,
I think in that season we had quality all around the pitch, didn't we? I mean, I'm not just being funny. We had real quality around the pitch, but in Europe, when they just needed that little bit more tactical nous needed, he failed, and that's.
The thing is, one of his worst teams. One of his worst. I mean, the 2005-2006 team, probably one of the worst Arsenal teams under Wenger's era, got to the final and should have won it.
Yeah. And they didn't concede a goal, is it? Right until the final. Am I right?
And guess what? He packed the midfield and played on the counter attack.
Yeah.
The way you play in Europe. And
but that's what I'm saying. Yeah. And that year, because he lost the actual final, that year actually he got it spot on in Europe. But in the league, he completely in Europe, he actually got the tactics right. But because he lost to Barcelona, he decided to change the whole shape of the team.
Yeah, but you know what's that? The reason why the Champions League became a priority because we were struggling to get in the top four in our own league. Remember, Spurs were the favourites for the top four in the 05-06. Mark built a very good team. Like I said, he rotated his centre halves because Ledley King had his knee injuries. He rotated forwards with, Keane and Defoe, and he had Carrick in midfield as a great, like I said, controller of the midfield, and he had so much genius. It was these box-to-box midfielders, so he had a very, very good side. And I think it was Lasagna that done them.
Yeah, the only thing is that they picked the wrong chef on the day. Chadwick's come in. Thank you for that, Chadwick. Thank you very much.
All right, Chad.
Love this guy. He's always contributing in the show, and thank you very much, Chadwick, for that. Have you guys noticed we don't shoot outside the box? I was always looking to pass. We need more shots at the goal. Need that killer instinct to win. Chadwick, what I'm saying about Ozil, I've always been. I mean, Kenny, I think Kenny's different to me in a way. I think now it's the end for me with Ozil. For me, it's the end. What I've noticed this season and in the last couple of seasons that what Ozil is actually fantastic at and good at, what his main attribute is, he's not even doing that anymore. And he's taking the easy way out. He's doing these little flicks here, flicks there, short passes. But no, there's no killer pass. I've not seen one killer pass from him this season to create a goal. And I've always been a fan for years when he was at Real Madrid. I loved him at Real Madrid. Even when he was playing for, is it Werder Bremen? I thought he was that. And for Germany at the time, he was probably 2010. What is it, 2010? I thought he was one of the players of the tournament. Is it 2010?
Yeah, definitely. I thought you can only remember that it's the second round game against England when he basically destroyed Gareth Barry from pace.
Yeah, well, that's exactly. So, but what I'm trying to say, he was outstanding then, and I've always, but what he's good at, and what the team needs, is not the same thing. And at the end of the day, he's not even producing that killer pass. He's not. I remember when he was playing with Cazorla. How do you pronounce it? Cazorla. I say Cazorla. You say Cafola. Santi Cafola. And when he was playing with him, I thought he was still there, still doing the business for me, and with Alexis. But since those two players are left, he's not to me. He's gone further and further downhill. And
but question I need to ask you, Claude. Can I need to ask you? You know, you say that, but one of the things they said, they wanted a finisher and they wanted pace around him. But we give him pace. He had pace with Theo Walcott. All right, Theo Walcott was he got the best out of his career. But Aubameyang's got loads of pace and he scores loads of goals. Lacazette, you know, we got a player who couldn't stop scoring for Lyon. Yet there still seems to be like this enigma around Mesut Ozil. And the thing is that
I don't know what's happened. Maybe it's something to do with his character. I don't know what it is.
It's not to do with, you know. I don't think it's anything to do with his character. I think the guy loves the football club, loves playing for, loves being in London. I think what's happened is that in terms of like loyalty and adulation, I don't think he's ever felt that from any fans of any club apart from our fans. I'm not sure what the Real Madrid fans thought of him. Well, I'm not sure that there's been a loving from him from any other club. I'm not sure what they thought of him at Werder Bremen. They definitely don't like him at Germany now for unfair reasons. But I think Mesut Ozil's just been declining. We basically bought a player who was probably had about 2 seasons left in him. He had the World Cup to play for. Then he had a very good season with us for, August up until like February in the 15-16 season. After that, it was fits and starts. And that's what we've had from Mesut Ozil. His best years were at Werder Bremen, at Germany up until the World Cup in 2014, and at Real Madrid. After that, he's been in decline ever since. And anyone who's watched Mesut Ozil in the early years will say that. Anyone who hasn't watched Mesut Ozil in the early years will disagree with me.
So one thing I have noticed in his career, even when he was playing well for us, I think, is the big games away from home, where we played the teams at the top away from home, the big four at the time, and he never seemed to at home at the Emirates. It was okay, but when we played away against them teams, for some reason, he never was switched on.
Well, if even the thing is that is undoubtable, but some of his fans were so well. Hang on, he did do that badly because he scored in a 2-1 defeat in the North London derby in 2015, and he scored in 3-2 defeat. Yeah, very good goal. And he scored in the 3-2 defeat against Man United when it was a Rashford match. So people may argue that, but in terms of him, the trouble is that a certain person who me and you don't get on with made a great point. He doesn't like us, and we don't like him. But one of the things he said when people talked about him not being that sort of player, not being a talisman, well, that's tough shit. Excuse my language, because I want to apologise to you and your viewers for using language. I'm becoming of a father and a Christian. And I won't use that language again on your show because I know how much you rely on the show to be respectful.
You haven't heard me.
Mesut Ozil has to be that talisman. He has to be. He has to be that leader of the team. Not only has he got to be that leader of the team because of his footballing ability and his star status, it's because of his experience. He's won a World Cup. He's played with great players and in great teams. He's, like I said, a lot of young players will look up to Mesut Ozil. Whether he likes it or not, and whether his fans like it or not, he has to be the player that drags us out of a mire in a game. So if we're playing badly, he has to be the go-to man.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be one of those players who plays well when a team plays well. It's not enough when you're this big star who fans label you as and who fans rely on you. It's not good enough. And it's not acceptable. And that is going to be his etymology when he leaves Arsenal, that well, hang on, he never did it for us in the big games. He was never the leader of the team. So I'm sorry, that for me, I can't call Mesut Ozil. I've never called Mesut Ozil last legend. I can't do it. And Aaron Ramsey is more of an Arsenal legend than he'll ever be. And he's a better player than Aaron Ramsey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that should be like that.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I just feel that, as Chadwick was saying, that's another thing, Chadwick. Yeah, we don't shoot, and sometimes we do overplay. I mean, I'm looking at sometimes I've watched Pepe a few times. Well, bloody hell, just have a go, mate. And he's laying the ball off, and I think to myself, well, you've got a good shot on you, mate. When you do it, you know, and then you're getting up to the penalty area and you want to pass it. Overpass it, and I've noticed that with a lot of our players, it hasn't gone away since we had Wenger in charge. That hasn't gone away.
Yeah, I think what's happened is
that
I think that sort of thing started a lot when I think even at Highbury we were playing like the Harlem Globetrotters, but I think it was more prevalent when we had like players like Riziki, Claude, Fabregas, Arshavin, and everyone wanted to walk it in the net, and you know what I mean. Everyone wanted us. It was like basically me and you going home for dinner, and instead of getting a meal, we got a cuisine, and they wanted to call cuisine goals. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem. You can't. You have to be ruthless. Get that cuisine goal when you're bloody 3 or 4-0 up. Then you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Not when it's 1-1 and you're about you can go the other way. You know. Sometimes all that lovely stuff can be left when your game's completely in total control. Then you can score spectacular goals. Like that one. Remember that goal with I'll never forget. It's my goal of all time, the Jack Wilshere goal.
Oh, you know what? Here's me talking about wanting a normal meal and a cuisine, and I still get excited about that game. In fact, if you look at that game when we beat Norwich 4-1, all of them were great goals. They're all great goals. Ramsey scored a worldie that day, if memory serves me right, when he in the first half. But no, in the second half. But that goal by Jack Wilshere, and Giroud was very much part of it. It was just like it's like if you remember the goal, it's like when the goal went in, we didn't actually cheer at the moment because we were
stunning, wasn't it? It was just stunning.
It's like did it happen? And then we all erupted. But at first we were like, oh my God, did you just see that? Goal! That's how good the goal was.
Yeah, it's my goal of all time, mate. Team goal. It's my team goal of all time, mate. That just shows you that Wilshere was so sad about his injury and everything, mate. Because
talk to Jack Wilshere. I do remember in a conversation with yourself about 3 years ago saying that by the time he's 28, he's going to be finished because not because of his injuries, the amount of football he's going to play, and that's another issue that maybe you can discuss another show. Is that we've now had some great in the last 20 years, we've had some great players and we've destroyed them. We destroyed Michael Owen. Liverpool destroyed Michael Owen by overplaying him. Arsenal destroyed Jack Wilshere by overplaying him.
Are we going to do this with Martinelli? Are we going to do this with Martinelli now?
Well, but the Martinelli industry at Arsenal want us to do that. They want him to play every game. They don't understand that he should be carefully managed. But look what's happened at Manchester. I mean, the lazy farts didn't buy a striker, so they're doing it to Rashford. I mean, what is it with English football that they get a talent and they destroy it with their own bare hands? And that's why, Claude, I want a mid-winter break. Because if you play these number of games and don't give players rest, you're going to get big injuries. Now, you're an Italian man who don't care about England doing the world in the European Championships. But England have lost Kane and they're losing Rashford because of too many games.
It just amazes me how many fans come out of the woodwork on that.
Why not? They're English. They're
Well,
English. They support the
to
country.
be honest with you, it is a bit of there's a certain YouTube character, right? I won't name any names. He's a nice guy, actually. I won't name his name, but he was supporting England, and then he was supporting, I think it was, I'm not sure, was it Serbia? One of them two. It completely changed. 1 minute he was supporting England, then the next minute he's supporting Serbia. I think it was it Serbia? I can't remember.
Serbia qualified. Serbia qualified.
I'll tell you what, he's a character. He's one of the characters out of Filthy Fella.
Filthy Fella. Oh, you're not talking about Vujanic, David, are you?
You're
talking
he's
about
a
my
nice
mate
guy,
Dave, aren't you?
Hey?
But Dave's Serbian. And he came to this country, as a young
No, but I'm saying he was supporting two countries. What I'm trying to say is you either support one or the other.
Trust me, you'll have loads of people. During the World Cup, I've got England and I've got Nigeria and England support. I
can only support one though, Kenny. Who was your no, be honest with me. Who was the team you were supporting at the World Cup? I was supporting. I was actually support because I had no because my team weren't there. But
look, I think. All right,
I was behind Nigeria in the World Cup. I wanted Nigeria.
Well, thing is, right. The English national team represents me. I've always been a supporter of the English national team, and I've always supported Nigeria because it's a country of I'm Nigerian by blood. My blood's Nigerian, so that makes me Nigerian. My heart's Nigerian because I was brought up in a Nigerian household. But I've always been a supporter of an English national team. I support the English national team in cricket, 100% in football. I've even gone to watch them live. And I support the English national team in rugby because England's the country of my birth. It's where I've been brought up. So I've got the best of both worlds, supporting England and Nigeria. There's nothing wrong with that. But if England played Nigeria in football, I'd be supporting Nigeria. Sorry, lads. I have to. I've got no choice. So sorry.
Exactly. It's like the cricket, I was talking to who was it? I was talking to Robbie about the cricket. I said, "What about when it comes to the cricket?" I said, "You're all going on, England, Ashes." I said, "What about if they're playing West Indies?" It's support the West Indies. So
it's true. It's true. You can't do that.
Yeah. So I suppose you. But for me, if Italy's not there, I'm no interest in it at all, really, to be honest.
Yeah, but Claude, you're an Italian man. Remember, you know a good friend of mine. When we went to Chelsea, my mate, good friend of mine, who's with his two boys at Chelsea. That guy. Oh my god! I remember watching a game when Italy were playing in 2012. 2008. European champions, and they're playing Holland, who's so sad. Holland actually destroyed Italy. Sorry, mate. And the passion coming out of him was unbelievable. And I said to myself, I'm not watching any football where Italy involved him. And then when you did qualify for Europe, I ain't gonna lie, right? I couldn't face you, Claude, or my good mate, because I felt so bad. I was screaming at the TV. And I want to fight because I was angry with Italy. I was angry because they kept on pumping the ball forward, putting crosses in for deep, and it was like meat and drink for the Swedish goalkeeper and then for their centre halves, who were about 6'5". So I was getting angry with Italy.
Right, this guy's come on with a chat here. Ribs, is it Ribs? Thank you for that, Ribs. Ty supports every country with an Arsenal player. Yeah,
good. And you know why, Rib? And you Ribs, you've 100% right. Let me tell you about Ty, right? People like me and Claude, right? We can talk about cricket and football. We're Arsenal fans, but before we discovered Arsenal, we're football fans as well. Mm. Ty is Arsenal daft. Trust me, if Arsenal were involved in a basically egg and spoon race, you'll go and watch it and support Arsenal. Doesn't matter whether it's an egg and spoon race. It's Arsenal who's involved. He goes to Arsenal youths, Arsenal women. If there was an Arsenal quiz and there was like a competition between Arsenal supporters and Tottenham supporters on a quiz, he'll still see it as a North London derby. Ty's Arsenal daft. You know what I mean? Damn right, Ty supports every country with an Arsenal player. When you're like Ty's Arsenal daft, it's everything you're going to do. You know what I mean?
Sorry about Ribs if I missed your chat. I've just got you up there. Yeah, that's thank you for that, Ribs. And I've done these chats. I don't know what's happened. I've missed a lot here because apparently something's wrong with my system here.
Trust me, I think me and you'll be getting all sorts of abuse, but what we've been saying.
I mean, Kenny, I think. Thank you very much, Zane, for that. Kenny, I think buying Ozil was a big mistake. Maybe the worst buy ever, and he's lazy. I'll let you ask.
Zane, what I will Zane, I've got no problem asking that. Zane, do you know the thing is, Zane, is that he wasn't our first choice. Our first choice, it was actually our third choice of player. Our first choice was Higuain from Real Madrid, and we got that closer because we needed a striker. One of the things, in order for us to put a challenge for the league, we wanted to get someone who can get us 25 to 30 goals a season. And Higuain was identified by the club. And what's happened is we got very close to getting Higuain to the extent that his representatives of Arsenal's agreed. And then what's happened is that for some reason, someone within Luis Suarez's circle said that, well, hang on here, this guy's got a clause in his contract for 40 million. So what we did is, well, hang on here. Luis Suarez is playing in the Premiership. You know, he's probably going to be more realistic and he's probably better than Higuain. So we abandoned the Higuain deal, and then we ended up going for Luis Suarez and putting in a £40 million plus £1, which was in his contract. But obviously, Liverpool said, "What you smoking over there?" Obviously, Liverpool want more money, and then still like Steven Gerrard said, "Well, come on, it's only Arsenal. Just wait for it. Give us another year, and you can go. A bigger club will come in here." Proved right, and then. So the third choice is that we still needed that player. And then Arsene Wenger, went and got Mesut Ozil, where at the time I was very excited because of what he did with Germany in the European Championship 2012 and the World Cup in 2010, and what he was doing in Real Madrid. So I was very excited. But at the back of my mind, I was like, well, wait a minute, we need a striker. We've only got Giroud now. No offence against Giroud, but Higuain, Giroud, Suarez, Giroud, you know what I mean? So in essence, Mesut Ozil, because he hasn't been a qualified success, I have to say that I respect your opinion, but I think it's been mixed. He has been. I'll say I'm on the sort of negative of lukewarm. So I kind of agree with you, mate. But in terms of him being lazy, he's lazy in a sense that he's not the player that we want him to be. He's not a talisman figure, so I'll go with that as well. But, great players can be lazy when they're producing. If you're not producing and you're lazy, then that's going to be more noticeable. So I hope I've answered your questions, Zane.
Ribs has come in with another one. Thanks, Ribs. Claude, why does Ty hate Brown, Big Sam and Pulis? Because he don't like the tactics that they use against us. Is the answer?
No ribs, Claude. The reason why is because they don't have no respect for Arsenal and Arsenal's history. They want to win games, and they think that out of all the big clubs that they play against, Arsenal's the most beatable. That's the truth.
Yeah, he don't like these sort because he don't like their attack. Oh, here's another one coming. What's this? Oh, Kenny, it's one for you, Kenny. This is from Zane. Thanks a lot for that, Zane. Kenny, do you think we should have gone for Ancelotti? Also, their owners are more ambitious than ours by a long way. Whose owners?
Everton's. I think the first question is: there's no doubt in my mind that we should have gone. I wanted us to go for a bigger name than Miguel Arteta. I thought his inexperience is counting against him, and it may do anyway in the future. I wanted Ancelotti because of his name, but the part of me was concerned about Ancelotti to the extent that there was kind of misgivings about his tactics towards the end at Real Madrid and definitely at Bayern Munich. He was like, how do I say, he was like a bit mundane, a bit out of fashion with his tactics, and training weren't hard enough. So that's why I had slight concerns about him. But his pedigree, I definitely wanted him and I definitely wanted him ahead of Arteta because, he's won 3 Champions Leagues. He won a double in his first season at Chelsea, and everywhere he's gone, he's won trophies. So yes, I wanted him ahead of Mikel Arteta. And in terms of like Everton, like more ambitious, well, they have to be. It's a simple reason is that Liverpool, for any new owner that goes to Everton, has to spend the money because they are way behind Liverpool in terms of like everything, in terms of like merchandise, stadium now, and in terms of like players. So yeah, they are more sort of ambitious. Probably, I won't say they're more ambitious than Arsenal's, but what I would say is that they're more forward thinking in what they want, and they're prepared to put. They're prepared, you know, because they're not governed by FFP to sort of try and get the best players. However, they're going to have a job in their hands getting players to come to Everton unless they get in the top four, win a big trophy. So Ancelotti needs to get them in the top four, get them into Europe this season to get better players.
Can you see that, Kenny?
Oh, thanks, Jake, very much. Look, it's all about availability, but I think the trouble with Claude, Ty, and people at AFT, we don't give people enough notice.
The trouble is the time it goes on.
If they really want me in, they've got to give me at least 2 weeks' notice so I can get the time of work. But I'd love to go on. I really would love to go on. I'd love to go on.
That could be sorted. That can be sorted out, Ken. Don't worry about that. I'm actually thinking of
thanks for mentioning it, mate. Yeah, I would love to go on.
I'm actually thinking. I'm getting some guests on anyway soon. Anyway, Zane says I think we should have gone for Nuno.
Well, I think the thing about it is that Nuno was one of the people we were talking about, because I think what it was is that obviously Nuno's done a fantastic job at Wolverhampton Wanderers, and obviously Raul had he's got the ear of Nuno's agent. Who's that? The former DJ. What's his name again? What's his name? He used to be Mendes. Is Jorge Mendes. So basically, we would have gotten in with him, and But I think what it is with Wolves as well is that he's very much into his project, and I don't think it's what he wanted to go. But I would have taken him in a heartbeat. The way Wolves are playing is modern football, and with at a bigger club, he definitely would have had the fans aside, and a lot of fans wouldn't have said no to some of the players like Jota, the guy up front for him as well. And would you say no? Would you say no to Connor Cody? Take him in a heartbeat, wouldn't you, mate?
Yeah,
definitely. Espirito Santo, definitely, I'll definitely take him.
Yeah, it's that's a good one. Let's say if there's any more questions before answered that one. Was that? Oh look, I'd love to get Chris Hudson. I'll try and get him on. I will try and get Chris Hudson on.
Don't worry. When I see Chris Hudson, I'm going to say to him, "Come on, get your phone out and get your thing on. We need, like I said, you'll love it as well."
I'm not sure if he's up there with all this technology on there. Has he been on anyone's show before?
Not really, but a good friend of mine at work sees Chris Hudson on the train all the time. So I'm going to get him to have a word with Chris Hudson and say that Claude, my mate Claude would like to have him on. And I think with Chris Hudson is that Chris Hudson spoke for a lot of Arsenal fans that time, especially old school fans.
Johnny Barton's trying to phone me now. Shall I answer it?
Go on.
Johnny, I'm going live at the moment.
Oh, fuck me. All right, mate.
Don't worry, that's all right, mate. But I'll talk to you in a minute, yeah? Sorry, mate.
Sonny's doing some recording on a proper camera tomorrow in London. I'm going up to Finsbury Park on it for a big YouTube thing, and they want you on it as well.
All right, we'll see. I'll get back to you. Yeah, but let me get back to you. I'll talk to you after, yeah?
All right. See you later.
All right, take care. Yeah. Did you hear that, Kenny?
Yeah, Claude, you got no excuses, mate. You're around the corner.
Did you hear that on there?
I heard every word of it, mate. You put the phone in loudspeaker, mate.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know yet.
Hey, Claude, unless you're watching Sheffield United versus Bournemouth, you've got no excuses, mate.
Sheffield United versus what? Who is it?
Sheffield United are playing Bournemouth at 2 o'clock on BT Sport.
Oh, that's a cracker, mate. I've watched that.
Hey, trust me, those games are better than like the 6 point the Liverpool Man City games where both teams are scared to lose to each other.
All right. Sorry about that, everyone. I needed to answer that call. Nothing much. I don't know if with things. I think.
No, I think there's one guy. There's one guy in the chat who asked a question about what do we guys think about the Newcastle game. I think if you look down the chat,
we could talk that. I don't know. Are you not on Monday? Oh, we'll talk about Newcastle. Let's hold it. Hold on, there's another one coming. I would swap the whole of Wolves for Arsenal, says Zane. Thanks for that, Zane.
Thing is that they're playing fantastic football, and there is no as I said before, Zane, there is no difference between the quality from Norwich at the bottom going up towards Man City. There isn't a difference in quality. You know what I mean? It's all about.
The only thing I'll say about Wolves is they are good when they're playing top to middle table team. What I've noticed when they're playing teams a bit below them, they struggle a bit. So they don't.
I think but the reason why they struggle a bit is because simple reason is that the onus is on Wolves to score. I think what's happening is that Wolves are very much built for the counter attack. They've got a very strong defence. They've got a midfield that gives you nothing. So basically, when teams do come and play them, like Liverpool's, Man City's, Chelsea's and all them lot, they play their best football. But if teams like the big teams score first, or maybe getting a couple of goals in front, it's hard for Wolves to get back in them. The only team that physically match Wolves is Liverpool.
I think they're a good side, and I watched them when they played United. I thought they could have got more out of the game than they did. I just feel in the final third they just. I
think what it is that a lot of clubs like that where a good team. You always say that they're two players away from getting the top four. And I think Wolves are by one of them, but I am definitely going to be taking like Jimenez without a shadow of that. If Aubameyang, wants to leave us, I'll take him. I've got no problem with him in the side. I've got no problem with Jota, and I certainly ain't got no problem with Traore. You know what I mean? 100%.
Zane, thank you for this, but you shouldn't keep doing this, mate. Thank you anyway. Claude, will you get Goldbridge on? I don't think Goldbridge will come on, actually.
Why not? Think about Claude. Why not? It's your show.
I think I'm not in his league. I don't think that's
but the fact of the matter is that obviously you've got to have a show that's relevant. Now the thing about it is that he does talk about bad chairman. Remember, he's very critical of the situation at Man United with the board and the players, and we have the same situation with Arsenal. There isn't any reason, Claude, why you both can't bang your heads together and talk about it. Football finance is such a show. No.
I like Mark. I like his work, but I don't think he sees.
Claude. You don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah, I know that. I know. I probably will ask him. I will probably ask him. But I like Mark's work. I think he's a character. I really do. I think he's brilliant. As I think expressions, I'm a big fan of expression. I think he's a very funny guy. I think.
He knows more than football. He knows a lot about football, more than he gives away. People just assume that people like himself. Well, people assume that him and Troops don't know a lot about football. You can't be more wrong. Their knowledge, Troops' knowledge of Arsenal is fantastic and extensive, and so's expressions of Spurs. So people underestimate those two, at their folly. But expressions are good. And his brother Ransom is a good lad as well. It's one of those things is that you've got to understand. Obviously, you want to keep it as an Arsenal show, most importantly, don't you?
No, what I'm trying to say is, I'm always welcome people other time when we play other teams. I don't mind putting them on, as we had with Tony Rolfe from Chelsea. I think expressions is great. He's great at what he's doing. I think he's very funny. A very funny guy.
Look, he's done
the way
fantastic. Deserves every success he's had. Deserves every success he's had.
I rate him highly. I mean, you wouldn't get regular spots on Sky Sports if you don't know what you're doing. And no, I thought I think his work is fantastic, and I think Troops is as well. And I think I respect everyone that goes on camera because it's not easy. It's not easy to go on camera and express yourself. It's not as easy as you think it is. And
no,
I do respect them.
I think what it is, right, is that when you do these sort of things, you've got to remember one thing, right? If you take this sort of mantle out with you when you do things like podcasts or appear on TV, just basically think in your head and say, look, I'm just talking to a friend here about football in the pub. Just treat it like that. Treat it like that. You know, if you go down that sort of philosophy when you do talk about football and these sort of programs like podcasts, or you get lucky and you go into the mainstream, think like that. Don't change what you are. They invite you on because of what you're doing, because they do think you're a normal person, and they think you have something interesting to say, and most importantly, you're humble and you're nice. Trust me, to get into things like podcasts and TV, you have to be nice. As the late John Lyle said, it's not nice and important. It's more important to be nice.
Yeah, that's right. John Lyle, what a gentleman, and what a great. He never got the. I don't think he got the respect that he deserves. Are you friends with the rich Nigerian? Can you ask him to buy Arsenal, Kenny? Kenny answers this right. Let me answer this right. There is no Zane. Thank you for that as well. There is no guarantee, right? There is no guarantee for me that if Dan Gotti does come in, it doesn't do any different to what Stan does. So what I'm trying to say is, it's a self-sustain, as Kenny would say, self-sustaining, and we'll probably go down the same road. No, do you think because he's got more money that he's gonna come in and do exactly different?
Well,
the reason these people have got a lot of money is because that's why they've got money, because they don't throw it away. And I think the thing is, right, with all these things, right, it's the word, a business, and they're businessmen, and the thing about it, right, is that businessmen don't throw good money after bad, and I think what it is, right, is that you can put loads of money in, but you're only going to see the fruits of your labour if the team does well. You know what I mean? But there has to be a situation where people in the football club, players are going to have to want to get better. Coaches are going to have to want to do their job and develop players. You know what I mean? And I think that is what you've got to do. Man City and Chelsea have been successful not because of the fact they've put a lot of money in. Yeah, that's helped. It's because ultimately they've got good players and good coaches. They've got good people, the best people behind the scenes. If you don't have good players, good coaches, and good people behind the scenes, then you're not going to be success on the pitch. That's not going to happen. It's not, you can't have success without the whole three. You can only have you can't even win an FA Cup without the whole three. You've got to have the whole package to be successful on the field, and that's what Arsenal got to strive to do. Yeah. That's I forgot what I was going to say here, because that's thrown me there.
Has there been anyone in the chat? I think we haven't talked about Newcastle yet.
Yeah, let's go on to that game, Newcastle. We should get back to winning ways.
I think, Paul, you can't really say that, because you've got to realise, right, is that every club has got quality, and they've got everyone who plays statistics. If you notice that Newcastle are quietly making some improvements under Steve Bruce. The players are playing to Steve Bruce. He's getting the best out of players like the Amarons. He's got a pacey player in Son Massine. Joe Linton, although he's struggling for goals, he's still been affecting the game a lot. So Newcastle, and remember another thing as well, no one's scared of Arsenal no more. Newcastle got no worries if they come. Mentally, that's what they're going to think about coming to Arsenal and come for the win. There's no reason why Newcastle should be scared. Because simple reasons that Arsenal are a lopsided team still.
they've still got a few useful players. Who's that player that scored that wonder goal the other night? Not what's his name now? One of the brothers.
Son Massim. No, his name is Son Massim scored it. It was Son Massim.
No, there was another guy that scored another good goal the other night. One of the brothers, the ginger one. Oh, not, what's his name?
Oh, you're talking about what's his name? Yeah, one of the brothers, the younger brothers,
scored against United, scored against Man U.
Yeah, the younger brother's out of contract in the end of the season. He's got a £1,000 a week.
The one that scored the goal against Man United.
Yeah, I'll get his surname. I think I've got his surname, but yeah, that's the one you're talking about.
He looks a good player that could cause us a lot of problems. It depends. Look, the last time we come back from a break, we weren't very good, was we? So
the break's got nothing to do with it. What will win us and lose us the game is the fact if Newcastle win, it's because they will go out the right attitude. Long start. They'll come out. They'll go out the right attitude, and they'll have Steve Bruce will have the right, formation and tactics to try and win the game. And vice versa, Arteta is going to be on his goal. But one thing I also need to do as well, we need to have a cutting edge in the first half. Like I said, when we're on top, we don't just score the one goal, we just put teams away, kill teams off. That's one thing we haven't been able to do this season, is kill teams off.
Yeah. Kenny, what would your team be for Newcastle?
My team would be Layla in goal. My right back would be Bellerin. Left back would be, if Kieran Tierney's fit, it'd be Kieran Tierney. I know Sack's playing because I know he's suffering an injury. Centre half is going to be
I think Tierney's going to be out. Still out.
If Tierney's out, then it's Saka. Tierney's out, then it's Saka. Then in midfield, centre half's going to be Mustafi, and Daphne have done nothing wrong to be substituted. I know Mustafi's not a favourite of a lot of fans, but I'll play him at centre half alongside David Luiz. He's playing well now. Midfield is going to be Torreira, Granit Xhaka. He's going to, for some reason, he's going to play Mesut Ozil. I don't agree with that, but Mesut Ozil will play.
I think at home, it's possibly more likely to play him. Yeah, I would. Bias, but I don't.
Yeah, but the fact matters is, but unless Arteta gets a box-to-box midfielder, then you're going to see a lot of Mesut Ozil in that playing between the lines until teams work us out, and they do. And then up front, you've got a situation where whatever happens, Lacazette's going to play up front, and Aubameyang's going to play off him. So it's between Martinelli and Pepe. They're the ones I think are going to play. People say, well, Lacazette isn't playing well, blah, blah, blah. The fact of the matter is that Aubameyang is a centre forward, but who can't play with his back to goal. Lacazette is centre forward who should be scoring goals, but can't score goals, but can play with his back to goal. Because at the end of the day, if you are going to play the way that Arteta wants to play, you have to have a forward who can hold the ball up and bring people into play and play with his back to goal. And until we get that sort of player, until Aubameyang becomes that player, then it's going to be Aubameyang, Lacazette, and one other.
Yeah, Zane says, Zane says, Claude, did you know Prince Harry is a Gooner? Will you get him on? I think Prince Harry's playing with Man City. I'm sure I saw him play with Man City the other week.
I don't know one thing, I don't know if we got to ask Megan, innit?
Exactly. I think he's Megan is wearing the trousers there, mate. I think.
Judging, I think Prince Harry wants someone to wear trousers. I think he wanted to get away from that for years. He just thought, oh bloody hell, I've got to finally find someone who could take me on this adventure.
Right, what's this say here? Well, let's get this up. Arsenal can turn it around, but you need to get rid of these owners. I'm surprised the big money. Yeah, but see, I understand this. You get rid of the owners, yeah, but who's going to put the money in? Who's going to come in with this money to buy the? And even then, if you're talking about the owners, if the owner, as I said, I'll repeat it again. If the owner gives money to the only thing I feel we're guilty with the owners maybe is he's not had a go at the people he's giving the money to. Because if you give the money and if someone asks you as I said before, if someone's asking for 40 million, I want to buy this, 70 million, I want to buy 70 million, I want to buy this. If the owner gives them the money, he's given them money, he's done his bit. Now, if that person goes and spend it on the wrong players, then they've got to be taken into to be on at fault, like Gazidis and like this guy now, Raul Salieri. If they're not buying the right players with the money they've been given, they've got to be taken to task. And the coach, because he's part of he has to be consulted, I'm sure, before players are bought. He must have some say on it. So between them, they're all at fault. Do you understand what Kenny?
Well, the thing is, things you're right. You know, old school, Mac boy, you got situations that you had the same situation in Liverpool, didn't you? Where you had the wrong people behind the scenes, and it's only now you've got things right that you'll now have the success you are. It's the three things you need in football: good players, good coach, and competent people behind the scenes. You've now got that, and that's the thing. And you've got to realise one thing as well is that owners are only as good as the money they have in front of them. Unless owners normally do say their last goodbye when either the team gets relegated or run out of money. You guys at Liverpool, you had the Hicks and Gillette who basically put the club into debt with the banks because they never had the money to buy your club in the first place. And you only found out when the bank but that's the thing. But that's the thing. I think what old school Mac boys get into is that they forced out Hicks and Gillette. But the only reason why you were able to get rid of Hicks and Gillette is because the banks called their loans in. We don't have that at Arsenal. There is no financial reasons why Sam Kroenke could leave Arsenal. Why should he? We got a fantastic TV deals from across the world. Plus, we're if you take away our stadium debt, we're in profit. Why go? The business is in good hands. It's in the black.
Exactly, Kenny. Exactly. And the same. That's what I'm saying. The only reason they went, it wasn't because the fans didn't push them out. The reason they went is because they were the banks pulled them in, isn't it? So at the end of the day, it wasn't the fans that got rid of Hicks and Gillette. Well, I wonder why people don't understand that, but still, I don't know. So it doesn't show. I don't think it. How can I say it? It hurts them to think that there's more reason than Kroenke that why we're in the state that we're in. I think Kroenke has.
Yeah, but I think
it's these guys, so he has that responsibility. But it's not.
It's not a reason to go on a protest, though. The reason to go to a protest is if he's mismanaging the club financially and we're in financial debt. That's when you go and protest. Liverpool fans went on a protest because they found out that the club was at the mercy of the banks because of the owners. That's when you go and protest. Because you protest against an owner when there's a prospect of your club going out of existence. Spurs fans nearly 30 years ago protested against Irving Scholar because Spurs went into financial problems because of the deal where they got in a deal with Hugh Mill where they were making kits from other clubs. Hugh Mill went into debt, in turn put Spurs into debt. Spurs went into the process because they were going in the red, could have gone out of existence, needed the FA Cup in '91 for them to get back in existence, needed to sell gas and get the money in. Hence, Alan Sugar came and rescued them, helped them out. That's when you go on a protest. Sorry, guys, but I can't help you out there. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate, and so are you. But I'm sorry, that is how football's run. Now you can either focus on Newcastle next week, focus on getting the team better, or you could waste your time. It
boils down to me that the result business and what result boils down to three people. It boils down to Arteta and Salieri when results go down. Sorry,
and the players.
Sorry, no, I mean and the players. The players as well have to take responsibility as well. But then again, and the people that go out and buy them and the scouting. That's all down to and. That where the responsibility for me lies, right? And as you say, you could get Dan Gotti in. There's no guarantee Dan Gotti's going to come in and say, "Oh, yeah, here's 200 million. Spend it on this player." I want it spent on that player. I wouldn't spend on that player.
But all these,
there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee of that. You know what I mean?
The thing is, Claude, all he's going to do is that if he goes in with that attitude, he's going to annoy people around the club because that's throwing his weight around. You think if you're going to buy a business and you're going to go into Arsenal, learn the history of the club, learn about the people who you're going to employ and the people who work around you, and fall within that situation.
Yeah.
Unless you've got a real proper vision and you've got a guarantee that your way is going to work, don't break something that's not. Don't fix something that isn't broken.
Yeah, exactly. You know? That's must. Anyway, Kenny, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thanks for everyone who's come on.
Well, Claude, what better way can we spend our winter break but talking about football?
Yeah,
rather than you getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, running towards St Thomas's Road, getting held up because Ty's getting 3 buses to get from Archway or walking with those high heels. You had a nice.
One thing I will say this weekend, I've had a nice lay-in because I've been.
What can I say?
I've been on a course for the next month. I've been on a course and I've been getting up at 7 in the morning. 6:30 in the morning, and I've been getting home at 5. And I've had a good lay-in this week. No worry having to get up at 5 in the morning for an away game. That's good.
Exactly, Claude. Now can you see the benefits of a midwinter break?
Yeah, I think I see that. But the only thing is, I switch on the TV and all I'm watching is Agatha Christie. What you call it? Murder She Wrote or something like that.
Hey, Claude, you should come on my YouTube. I'm watching old programs like the rock and roll years of 1965, 66, 67. I remembered all these songs that I forgot about when I was a kid. I mean, I remember the Young Rascals, grooving. I've got the Birds, Turn, California Dreaming. Trust me, we can do a show. We can sing aloud together about all the 60s songs I remembered.
Oh, lovely. Well, those are the days, the 70s, 80s, the music. Loved it. Those were the days.
Monday.
The days when we used to absolutely go mad. I mean, I'll never forget them days, mate. And it was football, dancing.
And another thing as well, Claude. Remember when... I'm going to leave you this because we've got to go. Do you remember when football was football?
Yeah, I remember that, mate.
Do you remember that?
Roasted peanuts.
3 o'clock kickoffs.
3 o'clock kickoff. Walking to the ground with about 45 minutes before the game. I never forget teams coming out just 10 minutes. Actually, they used to come out 10 minutes before the game, one team at a time, to the sound of good old Arsenal. I remember coming through that good old.
Do you remember the time when even the time when we used to get through St Thomas's Road, and then when you used to get St Thomas's Road, you can actually see like the North Bank from Thomas Road, and you get to Avenel Road, you went, I'm home. You know what I mean? And you see that big hill up the hill.
Or you're coming down Elwood Road, and you see in front of you.
Yeah. It depends where you come.
And then you go into Avenel Road, and Avenel Road is completely solid, isn't it? People.
Exactly. And you remember do you remember the smell in the summer? You had the smell of the Chinese. Remember the Chinese guy who sold who during the week he sold Chinese food, and then on match day he sold Chinese food with chips and saveloy just round the corner. This Avenel Road, and it was actually a Chinese. He's still there actually, near the London Supporters Club in St Thomas's Road. I remember going there, and you had the program.
Yeah, but
you probably still go there,
mate. The food's not good there, mate. I wouldn't touch that.
But remember back in the day in the early 80s, he was always there, and you could see where the away supporters came. They had to walk all the way around the West Stand and get up around the corner from the clock end.
Oh yeah. Highbury Hill they had to go up, didn't they?
Highbury Hill, yes.
That's it. Yeah,
those are the memories.
Yeah, and because that one turnstile, and if you go further down, you had the entrance for the West Stand, didn't you? The lower tier.
Do you remember one time when we played Chelsea the first game of the season where they brought 25,000 fans, and we had no choice but to bloody to house them, because it was one of those things where, well, what you're going to do about it is, I think it was during the 80s, Chelsea used to go, any ground they went to, they used to go to a ground, and it was like everyone saying, well, you've got to take them in there, whether you like it or not. And, 60,000 stadium in 84-85 season, 1-1, Paul Mariner put us 1-0 up. Terry Dixon scored a volley from the rebound.
Yeah.
25,000 Chelsea fans in the clock end.
Yeah.
Those were the days, eh?
Yeah, you used to have the whole, didn't they? Also, there was no all ticket then, was it? You could, if you didn't get there early,
£2.50.
If you didn't get there early, you weren't getting in.
Me.
North London Derby. If you North London Derby, if you didn't get in early, you had to get in there about an hour and a half before, because
North London Derby. Remember, Tottenham had all the clock ends, and they'd even some of the East Stand and the West Stand, and some of their fans used to infiltrate the North Bank. They were getting thrown out. Those were the days.
Yeah. The old days, you didn't have there was not all ticket, was it? So it wasn't. It was a bit of chaos.
Yeah, but the thing about it, we weren't safe. At the time we loved it, but we weren't safe. The stadiums were death traps, mate. I
remember being at Upton Park, because when it was really bad, because now it's calmed down a lot. West Ham always, it's not. It's fucking. It's a picnic now compared. But I remember Upton Park. They used to put us in the South Bank, innit? And you had half.
Yeah.
It was divided in half, but there was one line of coppers. I think no, there weren't.
Yeah,
not even that. There was not much between them. And it went off. Oh shit! And I remember there's watching the game, and it's right on my feet. There's people fighting.
Yeah, that was the case. That was always the case. But obviously, we don't talk about that Arsenal. I'm like, you won't get Arsenal selling books like like certain celebrity ex-hooligans getting their bestsellers and their films. At Arsenal, we keep quiet about all that shit.
Yeah, but we had a few nutters in our.
Yeah, but we keep that quiet. We don't sell books and make and go and make films with embellishments of the truth. Anyway, Claude, I think we got to wrap it up.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's a bit sorry. I've been keeping you here a long time, man. Haven't I? Sorry, mate.
Don't apologise. Right. I'm loving it. I'm enjoying myself.
Right. Anyway, everyone, thanks for joining us. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. I hope you all push the like button up. I don't think because that makes the show get recognised. Hope to be. I might be back on Monday. I'm not sure yet if I can get. I'm not sure if I can get some guests on Monday night, usual Monday night slot. And so Kenny, what's your Twitter? Tell everyone your Twitter handle.
My name's my Twitter handle's KennyKen1972, and like it's all and same with Instagram, KennyKen1972. It's Arsenal only. It's a football and the Arsenal discussion.
Nothing to do with politics. No politics.
No politics whatsoever. Nothing. It's all about football. I might talk about the old bit of cricket. I've only slagged off one person. That's Katie Hopkins. Well, if you don't slag off Katie Hopkins, well, who do you going to slag off? But I'm only interested in football.
You're not a fan.
No, at all. I'm only interested in football and Arsenal. I'm not interested in anything else. And obviously a bit of sport. Anything else about politics.
I mean, what's happening? What's this I'm hearing? Somewhat there's some. I haven't read it, but there's all I can on my timeline there is Philip Schofield. What's happened to Philip Schofield here?
Oh, we'll talk about that after you wrap up.
All right, because I just got that on my time. I keep getting that on my time now. He's okay, is he? He's all right, isn't he?
Wrap it up.
Let's
wrap the show up. We'll talk about it afterwards. Wrap your show up.
Right then. Take care, everyone. All the best. See you soon. Bye for now.